employers are being forced to raise wages. Sounds like a good thing, right? Well, not so fast. We're going to talk about why the increase in wages is not necessarily a good thing. Could be worse, but let's talk about it. Hey, everybody, my name is JJ. You're watching Bull, Boom, Bear, Bust. It is October 31st. Happy October 31st to everyone. I'll just stick with saying the date instead of the holiday because some people don't celebrate the holiday. So happy October 31st to everyone. Hope you're having a good time today. As October 31st fell on a Sunday, which is kind of cool for those who celebrate this day. Right, let's talk about the raising of the wages. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Let's take a look here at this first article. And I want to thank Wolf Richter over at Wolf Street for putting this out. Employers forced to raise wages by most in at least 20 years. The power balance has changed. Yes, when a lot of people leave the labor force, then it does give more negotiation power and more leverage to the ones that are still in the labor force, because then they become more valuable. The ones that are still staying at their jobs become more valuable. Companies want to hold on to those people, and they have to raise the wages to invite new people or to attract new workers. So when you're paying more to newly hired individuals, then you have to go and pay more to the people that have been at the company, because that wouldn't be fair, right? To pay new people more than you're paying the people that have been with the company, in some cases for many, many years. So yes, wages had to be increased, and quite drastically, like Wolf put it out right here in this article, the most in 20 years. And he gives us a nice chart here. This is in the private sector, and we see to the far right here the biggest spike, and this goes back about 20 years. And the real interesting one is banks. Look at the far right here, the increase in wages at banks, over 12% on average for banks. And they should, since we saw these profits for these banks really take off here, especially since the health crisis came out. But is it a good thing? Should we be celebrating that the fact that the only reason, or one of the big reasons why wages are increasing, is because one, the health crisis, and two, inflation that's really starting to ramp up big time. And some HR departments are starting to get worried at the increase in wages. And are all businesses going to be able to just go ahead and raise wages? Well, the mega company that has a CEO making 40, 50 million a year, sure, I'm sure they can set aside a few dollars to give out some pretty big wage increases. But what about the small businesses, the ones that have, in some cases, very low profit margins? We know that within 10 years, about 8 out of 10 businesses fail, small businesses, right? So we're yet to see how this in the end is going to affect small businesses. So while on the surface, the increase in the wages seems like a good thing, but if the wages are being increased only because prices are rising so fast and because people are exiting the labor force, we have much, much bigger problems to think about. So one, yes, it's a good thing. Congrats to everyone that's getting a raise. But two, is it going to be enough to keep up with this rising cost of living and these rising prices? Now, there's been some analysts out there saying that one of the big reasons why people are leaving the labor force or choosing not to go into the labor force is because everybody's getting rich, right? Everybody's getting rich in the stock market and other investments because the prices are going up. Well, take a look at this right here. 40% of the bull market is solely due to stock buybacks, right? So yes, the market's going up. Some people are making money on paper, and if you don't cash out, you're really not realizing your gains. And they're looking to start coming after people, by the way, for unrealized gains, which is insane, having to pay towards something that you haven't even realized the gains on yet. For example, paper gains in the stock market and other investments, they want to start making people pay for that through taxation. But look at this headline here, 40% of the bull market is buybacks. Think about if companies, instead of buying back their own stock, if they just use that extra money to offer higher wages to begin with, right? So there's a solution that I don't think many people are even talking about. And another article put this out here, and it's a pretty good article. Wages are up the most on record to 2002. What that means for profits. Take a look at this. This is out of Mish Talk. And they give us 3 different lines here. The blue line, total compensation. The red line, wages and salaries, and the green line is benefits. And we see the spike up here to the far right. And what's going to happen to companies that are seeing this higher employment costs? Are they going to keep their products and services priced the same? Or are they going to have to raise the cost of their products and services? Right? You understand where this is going? So this is going to be a double-edged sword. On one hand, yes, increasing the wages is good. But two, look at the reasons why they're being increased. But then also look at what's going to happen when companies have slimmer profit margins. They're going to raise their prices, right? So it's a never-ending vicious circle in this case, where higher prices and the higher cost of living lead to the need for higher wages and also the labor force exodus. But then also you have what's going to happen when companies have these slimmer profit margins, having to pay these higher wages, more price increases. So they're going to stack on top of each other. And that's why I've said here it's going to keep on going. There's really nothing being done to stop this situation from continuing, to escalate. So we all need to prepare for a much, much higher cost of living going down the road. That's why I really urge people to invest, diversify. Yes, have some cash on hand to pay bills, and maybe if there is some sort of market correction, have some cash on the side. But we have to start tilting more and more towards need to ride this bull and continue to look for investment opportunities, because deflation looks like it's really, really far away, if it's ever going to happen. Right? If this is the end of the dollar, we could see runaway inflation like we've never seen before. I'm not predicting that, but I think we all should prepare for that possibility. All right, another one out of Mishtalk. Now this one's interesting. Real personal income declines 1.6% in December. It's going to be interesting to see the October numbers when they come out, but it's down for a second month. Now, if we're seeing record wage increases, why are incomes declining? Well, income, as it's stated here, as they're defining here, is disposable income. So after the cost of living, after all the everyday expenses that most of us have to pay, once most of those are paid, income is actually declining. So even with record wage increases, incomes are declining. And when you look at disposable income, so that tells you the answer to the question, are these wage increases enough to keep up with the rising cost of living? Well, apparently not, because incomes, disposable incomes, is actually declining. Right? So people that are working, many of them are making more money, but at the end of the month, less money on the side because they had to pay for all these higher expenses, higher cost of living. So higher wages, good news maybe, but not so good news when you look at the bigger picture, right? I think most of you understand what's happening here. Now, part of the reason for the rising prices is the supply chain disruptions, and we saw all the ships off the coast there. We talked about this a few reports ago, that there's enough container ships, if you stack them end to end, there's enough of them off of the coast, it would reach halfway across the United States. And there's as high as 500,000 have been estimated to be off the coast, and now some of them in the docks. But something that just came out recently, carriers must move 60,000 containers out of LA Long Beach area by today, by Halloween, or they're going to start getting fines. Will this fix it? Well, if they don't have any place to put all these containers, then it's really not going to matter, is it? They're going to pay the fines. And what are companies going to do to make up for all these fines that they might have to pay? I'll give you 3 seconds to answer. They're going to raise their prices, right? So we've got a storm here of rising prices, rising cost of living, disruptions that doesn't look like they're going to get fixed anytime soon. So hope you're doing well. Hope you're finding ways to stay ahead of this inflation, or maybe even profit from this inflation. Please let us know down below. Are you profiting from this inflation? 1 and 2, what do you think about the wage increases? Is it a good thing, or is it not a good thing when you look at all the reasons why wages have to be increased? Please let me know. Thanks everybody for being here. Stay well, stay safe, keep stacking. Bye for now. Stay positive.